Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Well, hello, Mr. Bamise.
Well, hello, Stevie. How goeth it? How goeth it?
It goeth well. How goeth it with you?
It goeth also well here in the city of Nashville.
Oh, very fun.
Yes.
Where are you
very
playing
fun.
tonight?
Nowhere. Tonight is a day off. It's a day off here in Nashville.
Just a day off in Nashville. Are you playing in Nashville at all, or is just Nashville just a fun place to stop?
Oh, we're playing like a festival in like 3 days here. We have a few days off here.
Lovely.
Yeah. The option was to fly home. I'd be flying right now and then get home this afternoon or evening and then be home for 2 days and then fly back down to Nashville or just stay in Nashville. I decided to just stay.
Fair enough. If it's paid for,
yeah,
worst places to be.
Either way, yeah. You don't
As a
want to
musician
fly home for 48 hours.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, I'm doing quite well. I'm mostly well slept. And I very much enjoyed this episode. Welcome in, listeners, to Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast. Today we're talking about Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 3, Episode 4, entitled Room for Growth. Room for Growth. And our stardate is stardate
3340918.1.
And before we get into running down the episode, I guess we should hit the preamble.
Yes. Now, if you are out there and you're thinking, oh, do you know, I do enjoy this Star Trek podcast with these two, I don't know, is that a word? Random, maybe we are, with these two ruffians, these two rascals, Stevie and Aki.
I like Ram Jam. That's
Ram
cool.
Jam, I don't know where I got that from. If you do enjoy the podcast and you are not yet a member of our Patreon, ask yourself, why not? Because we have lots to offer you in our Patreon. You can join us backstage. You can join us for Zoom hangs. You can join us for watch parties. You can discuss Trek with us. That's really what we want to do. So it's very, very simple. You can go to patreon.com/setphaser to take advantage of this opportunity to join us as a member of our crew. Now, Aki, back to you.
What an excellent ad read, Stevie. I mean, I know you just made it up, but it felt like you were reading from a script as a professional.
Thank you so much.
To join us. That was very good. I was captivated by that read. Have you ever thought to yourself, okay, well, gosh, let's just run it down. It's time to run it down.
Can you run it down for me? Tell me what just happened. Can you run it down for me?
Yes, well, things are back to normal on the Cerritos. Apparently there's some big thing they're doing with the Carlsbad that they have to prepare for. But before any of that goes down, there's the usual cursed mask episode kind of deal. Captain Freeman touches a cursed mask, gets, what do you call it? Where the poltergeist, what do you taken over?
You are possessed.
Gets possessed by the spirit Minooki, who will wants to rebuild their temple and is turning the Enterprise into like a sort of like a Babylonian garden temple kind of thing. And it's causing a lot of chaos on the lower decks, and the lower deck crew is sort of upset about it. Anyway, they get that sorted, as you know, any competent crew would. And then the engineers and Billups have to spend just sort of like a week just working nonstop to repair all the temple stuff and getting vines out of conduits and grottos and things like that were turned into stone need to be turned back into hull plating, I guess. And the engineering team has been run ragged, so Captain Freeman decides she's going to organize a getaway for the engineering team. They're going to go to a pleasure planet or pleasure sort of like relaxation spa space station and just chill. And so that's that plan. Meanwhile, and Rutherford will be part of that because he's part of the engineering team. But meanwhile, the lower deckers are up in arms about a room lottery. Apparently, 4 rooms on deck 1 are open, and there'll be a lottery for it. And they're hoping that they can get one of those suites. They can each get one of those penthouse suites, and they can live, kind of cool. And, but as they're discussing that, and Rutherford says, hey, put my name on the list if you can. And they're like, yeah, you never get your name on the list. It's always weighted towards senior staff. Tendy's pet entity called Goopy gets knocked out of the glass. She has to follow him into it. I'm not sure actually what Goopy is.
Them.
I assume Goopy's alive.
Let's go with them.
Let's go with them. Assuming that they're sentient. Goopy goes into a Jeffries tube. Tendy follows and overhears the mortal enemies of the lower deckers, who are themselves Beta Shift, Delta Shift, discussing a plan to sneak over to the terminal where the room lottery is going to be, and get everyone else out and sort of hack it so that they get the 4 rooms for themselves. When Tendy tells Mariner and Rutherford that, Mariner's like, no way. We're going to beat them at their own game. We're going to sneak in there to the terminal before them and put our names in for the 4 rooms. Meanwhile, the engineering crew heads to the space station, the Dove, a relaxation place where they give you wristbands to monitor your relaxation level. And everyone has yellow, which means that they're sort of at a caution thing, but the administrator there, who's a very relaxed, chill, spa kind of person, is like, we're going to get you to be calm. It's going to be great. Shows Captain Freeman's with the engineering crew and shows them there's a puppy lounge where just puppies play with you. And there's a mud bath area where you just lie in a mud bath and get massages and stuff like that. So, Captain Freeman's looking forward to this, thinking that she's really creating sort of a nice present for the engineering crew. Meanwhile, during that tour, the engineering crew, tired as they were, stopped and fixed one of the doors on the ship. And so the administrator realizes they have their task set out ahead for them. The lower deckers decide they're going to take a holodeck, a shortcut through the holodeck to get to the terminal before the Delta Shifters. That is when they run in on a program. And this was a very weird, disturbing, yet wonderful scene.
Oh, it was full of pleasure. More than one way.
Apparently Shax and Dr. Ta'ana, who I think we've known are an item for some time.
Did we?
I think we knew that they were an item last season for some reason. Before he died or something, whatever.
I have to rewatch.
So that would have been season 1 if they were an item, because he died at the end of season 1. They're running a program in black and white where they are basically bank robbers and they're fighting the feds, and they have it's like 1920s, Bonnie and Clyde style bank robbery, and they've deactivated the safety protocols, and they are sort of this is their foreplay, I guess. So the lower deckers get to witness this, and also Shaq stopping the programming and complaining that he wants a deeper connection. And he's like, I died. We haven't even talked about that. I want to talk about our dreams and our secrets. And Dr. Don is like, oh, okay, fine. You want to know secrets? I can tell you a secret. I can tell you how I lost my tail. But then before she tells him, she says, well, maybe let's get in the mood. And then they go back to firing guns and stuff. So the lower deckers boogie out of there as quickly as they can to not witness anything en flagrante. And I don't know if that's a word. That might be ramjam. They enter a swampy area. We got a little cameo from, I think, Lieutenant Kayshawn from season 2, who's like the they speak in the metaphors, who's gardening. But anyway, below the garden is a swamp, and it's full of nitrogen oxide, and so Boimler and Mariner start tripping, and oxygen levels are depleting. But Tendi, as an Orion, is impervious to that, so she has to drag them out while Mariner thinks she's in an egg, and Boimler thinks he's walking through a maze. Meanwhile, on I forgot the name of it. On the Dove. Last time on the Dove, the engineers are in a Zen garden, and Captain Freeman is pleased to see that it looks as if they are starting to relax. She herself having come out of some sort of mud bath kind of situation. But instead of zenning out, she realizes they've been drawing a design schematic to get the engines to be 1.5% more efficient. And Freeman gets very upset they aren't relaxing. And so the administrator of the spa is going to go even heavier to make them finally relax. Meanwhile, the lower deckers find a low gravity room, which we'll find out is near the deflector dish, because while they're jumping around and having a sort of a nice reprieve from crawling through jungles and swamps and stuff, an asteroid cluster approaches the ship. Ransom fires up the deflector dish. Boimler gets caught in the centripetal force and gets yanked out and is about to get like spaghettyified, as they say. And so Tendi and Mariner have to make a tether out of their clothes and their persons in order to grab Boimler from the spinning wheel of death that is the deflector dish. Finally, back on the Dove, the engineers are getting mani-pedis. And the administrator and Freeman think they finally nailed it, because now, look, their eyes are covered with cucumbers, getting their hands done, they're getting their feet done. So, there's nothing to be done. Oh, all their wristbands are green. And then as Freeman goes around, sort of inspecting, like, yeah, this is working out, she finds out that they've been putting cucumbers beneath the wristband as a hack to get the wristband to be green. And that sends Freeman over the edge, and her badge goes from green to yellow to red to black. Which causes like a huge alert on the Dove, and the administrator has Freeman taken for intensive treatment, saying that she's been repressing huge amounts of stress for months, and if the intensive treatment doesn't work, she'll have to go to Starfleet Medical back on Earth. She would have to be taken off active duty in order to be healed, because she's that stressed out. Meanwhile, the lower deckers get to a vent right in front of the terminal, but they're there almost at the same time as the Delta shifters, and there's a standoff. But then bonding ensues, and they tell wonderful stories to each other, including one about when Ransom was a caveman and was locked in the cafeteria and made a wife out of a bunch of churros. And they come to a point where, like, the lower deckers are like, hey, you know what? Maybe we all just walk through together, and even if we don't all get rooms, we'll have made friends along the way. But then the door they were waiting on opens up, and the Delta shifters literally kick them down and walk through without them. The lower deckers do eventually see like water dripping from the Minooki stuff and manage to find a way to the terminal. But as they get there, they realize, hey, they had a great time. B, it's not 4 rooms on deck 1. It's 1 room on deck 4. Oh, the old... what is it? Boys from Syracuse mix up, the old Amelia Bedelia.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Deep cut. Just when someone switches, it's not 4 rooms on deck 1, it's 1 room on deck 4.
I'll look up Amelia Bedelia.
Oh, Amelia Bedelia. That's a series of children's books about a hapless maid. Would you have had those overseas?
I didn't.
I don't think Amelia Bedelia would translate.
Katie talked about it, and I'm like, what are you talking about? So I'm familiar with the name.
Yes, Amelia Bedelia was constantly feeding the dishwasher and soaking the cat, that kind of thing. Just getting everything backwards. It drives a child insane. You're like, no, Amelia Bedelia, as you're reading the story. Or just me. Anyway, they decide, you know what, let's give this to the Delta shifters, because then they'll have to choose one person to get the room, and it'll break up their group, and that's a fate worse than death, because how long will be lower deckers and be able to hang out with each other? So they decide to hack it so that only the Delta shifters can get it, and they think they've got them. Meanwhile, back on the Dove, the doggy room with all the dogs and even some extra rabbits is not helping Captain Freeman relax, but the engineering crew have engineered a way to relax Captain Freeman, like get her months worth of relaxation by some kind of thing they built out of like one of the turbo lifts. And though skeptical, Captain Freeman enters and in a matter of seconds is fully relaxed, green wristband. The administrator realizes if they had these, people wouldn't even need to come to the Dove anymore. So Freeman and the engineers depart. They're like, yeah, we did it. Hooray. We've relaxed. Everything's great. And after they leave, the administrator tells one of her assistants to destroy that thing immediately. And in the end, we find that, yes, Delta Shift did get the one room, but they turned it into one room for 4 people. A double Amelia Bedelia. It's not 4 rooms on deck 1. It's 1 room on deck 4 with 4 cots in it. Anyway, the lower deckers are sad that they were too tired to realize that would have been an option, because now Delta Shift has their own sweet party lounge. Rutherford's a little upset that they didn't think of that when they got there, and he's definitely not relaxed from his time on the Dove. And at the very end, we see Ransom enter the mess hall casually, say hello to a few people, and then whisper to the replicator to give him 35 churros hot. And here endeth episode 4, season 3, Star Trek Lower Decks, entitled Room for Growth. Let's chat about that.
I say, darling, let's do a quick chat about that.
Yes, let's do. Let's do. Well, I was happy to see the return of the Delta Shifters.
Yes, some antagonists for our heroes.
The antagonist, yeah. Evil, not evil per se, but, the yes, as you say, antagonists for the lower deckers.
Mm-hmm.
Who even, at some point in the episode, they're like, how are they even in Starfleet? They're so not cool. But I liked that. I also liked that they bonded, but then got betrayed. I guess I really enjoyed the idea that the engineers, they don't know how to relax, even though they've been working super hard. The way they relax is by
engineering. Yeah.
And what does Captain Freeman say when they drag her away? She's like, they're all a bunch of goddamn Geordie
the
Forges.
Yeah, that was that's in my quotable moments favorite line.
Oh, excellent. I'm sorry I spoiled it, but I thought that was so great. She was just so mad. We know that Geordie doesn't know how to relax.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wasn't like there wasn't a huge amount of progress in this episode, but it was a nice bonding.
Not really. I wondered, though, because Mariner, there was a comment when they were trying to get the room, and Mariner was like, well, soon Tendi will be a science officer, and you'll be the captain soon because you're Bold Boimler. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe it's moving on, or maybe, we're doing all of these, we're having hijinks because we're so scared of moving on. So I was curious. Sorry.
No, well, in point of fact, she said you'll be dead because of all your Bold Boimler shenanigans.
That's right.
And he nodded. He was like,
yeah. Well, probably it's very close because Tendi got pulled down the moment a gunshot passed her head.
Yes.
So it's very close, but Bold Boimler could be in for
Bold Boimler. That was one of my quotes as Mariner talking about Bold Boimler. I like this. I like any time they're all hanging out, and I thought it was Rutherford being offsite. Man, it was a slightly less cumbersome, 3-person team hanging out this time. But I loved it. It was just like a little. That was the main plot line, right? Like the engineer one was the B plot line, I think.
Yeah. It's hard to tell. They were both just concurrent.
And it all happened, and it's all like just this background stuff because of the cursed mask thing, which is very funny to me because we know the cursed mask archetype for a Star Trek show episode.
From masks. One thing I did enjoy was at the end when TAS, the engineers created the ultimate stress tool, and TAS was like, we can't tell anyone, this, because this Division 14 would not exist.
Right.
And I don't know, I quite like that. It's just something very today about that. We can't eliminate.
The engineers, made a machine that can cure stress, and it was destroyed by the people at the spa.
Yeah.
like Control. Yeah, they're like, this can't exist in the universe. And the sphere data. Now, wait, do you have Easter eggs?
I have a couple, not very many. So
Well, I feel like this is part of the chat. Is that I don't remember. Is Strange New Worlds coming to this season of Lower Decks, or is Lower Decks going to the next season of Strange New Worlds?
Oh.
Do we know which is? Because one is visiting the other, right?
Lower Decks crossover. Let's see.
And it would have to be a space-time thing because the Pike is so much.
No, they'll meet
previous
on
to,
the crossover. The meetover will be on the crossover of season 2 of SNW.
Oh, excellent! Great. Then I'll stop looking for it. I'm like, is this a Pike episode? How does Pike get here? Okay. Well, then never mind. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Aki Berbice here at Set Phaser Central. We go immediately to Stevie at the Easter egg desk. Stevie, how are you?
Well, hi there, Augie. How you doing? So good to be back with you here at the set of Lower Decks. We have a couple of Easter eggs for you today, not a lot.
I think there were so many. I'm just crossing over into a normal accent. There were so many characters that we are so used to seeing. Our Temba Arms Wide guy, what was his name?
Kayshawn?
Kayshawn. I was going to call Kayshawn.
Yeah.
Kayshawn. And the Division 14, we've seen them before. So if we were to think about, new Easter eggs, Minooki referencing the Masks episode from TNG. I think it was season 5. That's what I'm going with. I didn't write it down. T'Ana and Shax's relaxing in the holodeck seems also to hark back to TNG season 1. I'm forgetting the name of that episode. It was the one with Cyrus Redblock and, that one.
That was season 1?
I think so.
God.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it was season... I think it was season 1. I'm going with that.
Yeah. All right.
But those are pretty much the two that I picked up on. And I think given that we're seeing more character development and arcs, I think we are seeing somewhat less. And I think, I don't know. I think we're less surprised by some of the Easter eggs. And the ones that we have that were in this episode, I felt they were not new.
Right.
There were a couple that were new, but nothing. Like the Minooki thing, I think was really the biggest one.
Right.
That was sort of the real payout. But other than that, I didn't see a hell of a lot. Did you?
I didn't pick up on anything other than Minooki, of course. I do feel like it's fine. This was just an episode that was just about the Lower Deckers doing their thing.
It was a fun time.
And it was still a good ep, even though it wasn't hyper self-referential to Star Trek. Yeah.
Of course. And you had your throwback to Geordie and whatever. But again, I didn't feel like that was particularly, that they weren't new as such. But should we move on to, or hang on.
So, Aki, how about move on to quotable moments? It's back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Stevie. And indeed, we shall move on to quotable moments.
Quotable moments. What did you have?
Okay. Well, I want a t-shirt with, this is the second week in a row that Tendi said something that I want a t-shirt of. Tendi said, ooh, I've always wanted to explore an ethical gray area. Mm-hmm. That sounds great to me.
I enjoyed that. I had, let's go tit for tat. I had Billups saying, at the very, very beginning of the episode, saying to Captain Freeman, I don't go down to her sick bays and tell her how to hypo her sprays. I love that.
That's great. Mariner saying, we really need to do something about this bold Boimler thing. It is not sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Boimler, when they went into the holodeck and Shax and T'Ana were having a shootout, he says, oh, yes, and I can't quite remember what he said, but he called the bank a bonk.
Oh, yes.
This is
where
rather amusing.
People used to keep money. I think it's called a bonk. And this is just, listen, you have your dogs, I have a cat. Is it Taz? Mm-hmm. The administrator? The puppy playpen is one of our most popular offerings for the more deviant among you. We also have kittens.
Yes, indeed. And my last one, similar. Increased puppy levels.
Oh my God, yes.
Super cute.
And I have one more, but it may be for the sign off, so I'm not going to use it.
Okay.
That means we don't have news this week.
We don't have news this week. We've had so much news, no news.
Then it's time for next time.
Ooh. Let's find the button. The button! find the buttons. The button.
The button. The button.
I found the buttons.
I found the
buttons are
button.
for me.
Next time on Set Phasers.
Okay. Well, hey, I hope you liked this episode. We found the buttons at the end. If you enjoyed it, you can catch other episodes of Set Phasers wherever you get your podcasts. We have dozens of episodes out, I want to say. I think that's a safe bet. I can't say hundreds, and I know it's more than tens.
I could probably find out. What are you going as to Halloween? What do you get drill on? Let's try that again. What are you dressing up as for Halloween, Arky?
Someone taking a transatlantic flight for a tour in Europe. That's what I'm dressing up.
Oh, really? That's exciting.
I think I'm actually leaving on the 29th or something. But yeah.
We are 106 episodes. What are you talking about? This is 107. We hit 100
Dozens.
recently. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Dozens, nay, hundreds.
100.
Well, we're 100 plus, so I think we can. Or do you have to be at 200 to say hundreds?
I think you have to have more than 100.
100?
You have to have multiple hundreds to say
Fine.
hundreds.
Well, we have
it seems
multiple
fair.
dozens.
We can say over 100.
Yeah.
That always sounds good. With
Anyway.
over 100 episodes. Yes. So let me take that again. If you liked what you heard, you can hear more episodes of Set Phasers. We have over 100 episodes that you can check out. That's
And
it.
I had somebody reach out this week saying, "Oh, are you guys going to recap Prodigy?"
Ooh, I bet we could. It's a show
We
for
could.
kids, but that's never stopped me before.
I think we didn't do it because there was not time, because we would be doing
Yeah, I feel like it was
two a week.
concurrent to something else too.
Yeah.
But we should, I mean, even if we just do like well, I have to watch it and see if it's engrossing enough to do episode per episode. But,
I admit I haven't actually watched it all, so.
I'm happy to watch it. I'm happy to watch it. I'll take a look.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out. Anyway, what's my thing?
Was this a child that asked?
No, it was not.
Okay.
This was not. I am not super child friendly. Let's put it that way.
Okay. It's not what my demographics here say. They say you've got demos from 3
Is
to
that so?
11. It's pretty strong.
Kids, I mean, no, I would say I like kids 3 to 11. That's fair. They're fun to play with. Before or after that, they're harder work. They really
Well,
are
yeah,
hard work.
they're just babies.
Yeah. There's babies or they're mini people. And I think prior
Babies
to-
and teens. Stay away from
Oh,
babies and teens.
definitely.
Babies and teens.
Yeah, it's the in the middle sweet spot I'm good at. Anyway, do follow us on Instagram or Facebook, and do follow us and rate and subscribe to our podcast. I should say we are at Set Phasers and at
so.
Set Phasers podcast. But do go and give us a follow if you are enjoying this episode and you have not followed us already.
Quite. And to repeat ourselves, there is a Patreon that has Patreon things that you can get from Patreon, like video of this. A lot of you missed out on some very exciting canine flatulence if you're listening to this not live.
I'm gonna have to leave that in.
Yeah.
aren't I?
No, leave it out. Now though, people will be like, gosh, I wish I had the premium membership so I could know about whatever he was just talking about. You can also cut that out too. You don't have to keep about it.
Making this hard. You're making this edit hard for me. I do this. I do
Yeah.
this for fun. I spend my free time editing this episode and putting it up for people.
Yeah, it's
and
Sunday.
you make it hard.
All right, listen. I like to just keep a few things to keep you on your toes. Just a few things to keep you on your toes.
Okay. That concludes our episode, I believe. Until next time, I am Stevie Mans.
And I am Anti-Grav Boy, protector of the lower decks. And this has been Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Computer! Where's the button? End program!
Now we know what the next mug's going to be.
Computer end program.
Where's the button?
Where's the button? That's very fair. That is very fair.